Alright, this is the first video in a series that will teach you how to do some basic 8th grade math standards through programming the TI-84 plus graphing calculator, primarily using the language TI Basic. The first lesson you need to know is about variables in programming. This is general. Letters and sometimes phrases are used as placeholders in programs for inputs, outputs, and storage of information in programs. By the way, the lowercase l you can see there is never used alone because it looks too much like a 1. Also, y is typically not used because it's for graphing, and lowercase e because, well, it's a number. In this series of lessons, we're only going to store two types of information in variables: numbers and strings. When you learn some advanced programming, there's tons of other things you can store in variables, but for these series, we're going to just deal with numbers and strings. And numeric variables, they're the two types of variables: numeric variables, variables that store numbers. That's pretty self-explanatory. String variables, however, unless you're a programmer, you may not think of anything that's a word as a string, but computer programmers call words strings. And so a few basic commands you're going to do here are the clear home. I like this to always be in the first line, and you notice the red here being what would actually go in the calculator. The black notes here a description of what it does, and the pause with some optional text. Sometimes if it's a new user, they won't know they have to press enter, so I usually put here press enter. You'll see that in a minute, but it stops the program until the user presses enter. And then we're going to do some basic input and output. So display is what you do when you just want to display it to the next available line on the home screen. And you display, if you're going to display a string, you can just display and then text. And you got to make sure you put quotation marks there. If it's a number that's stored in a variable, you can just hit display and then the variable. And you can combine different types. So display text comma A will display text on one line and then A on the next line. And if I omit the comma, it will just display A right with it. And we'll be playing with this in our first program. Also, in a lot of programs, you're going to be asking for information from the user. And to do that, we're going to use the input. And the thing about input is it allows you to give some optional text here. So some people really prefer the prompt command, and there are times when I believe prompt is significantly more efficient. But I think that requires some information by the end user. But for the input command, you can put an optional text here, and then the variable here is, a lot of students miss this. This is where they're going to store what came in. Alright, so we're going to write our first program. And our first program is going to tell people who wrote the program. It's going to ask for the user's name and age. And it's going to return a greeting and tell them how many years until they turn 18. Alright, and the purpose of this is to just do a little practice. So, you're going to go over here on the calculator. You'll hit program. We're going to create a new program. So I'm going to create new. And I'm just going to call this first. So FIRST. And then here you can see it starts. Now, remember, our first command is always going to be clear home. So most of our commands are going to be here under the program key. So program, I'm going to go to input output and down to number 8. And it's the clear home command. And clear home, and then that's my first line, so I'm going to press enter. Then I'm going to display my name. So over here to input output, I'm going to go to display. By the way, instead of arrowing down, I can also push the number 3, display, and then I encourage my students to sort of pick a hacker name. So my hacker name is going to be TMP. TMP, of course, stands for the Math Prophet. So I forgot to put by here. If I want to insert here, you can see that this is a black square. I want to do the insert, so I'm going to hit second delete, and you see that it went to a underline there. I'm going to put in by by space. So by the Math Prophet. And then I want that to display there until they are ready to move on. So I'm going to put a pause in. And pause is number 8 under the control menu. So there's control, there's input, output. Oh, it clearly went a little bit too far here. Pause is number 8. So, and then this is where that optional text comes in. And so I'm going to just say press enter. P-R-E-S-S. And then enter. N-T-E. Alright, so that's our first 3 lines of code that I'm going to put in all of my programs. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to ask for the user's name and age. So that's going to require the, sorry about that, I want to hit program, the input. So it might be, you might want to ask the age first. Some of my students say, let's ask age first. But when you introduce somebody, you don't say, hello, my name is Tom, what's your age? We typically ask for their name. So we're going to do input, and then this is why we use input instead of prompt. We're going to ask them for their name. So I'm going to go name, N-A-M-E, question mark, close parenthesis. Now, I'm going to put a comma here. Now I need to store that. Name is a string, so I need to store it in a string variable. There's a button here called vars where a lot of the special variables are. So I'm going to hit vars, and you'll see down here number 7 is string variables, and I'm just going to store it in string 1. Alright, so I've asked them their name. They're going to put their name in, and then I'm going to ask for another input. I'm going to ask them for their age. Again, optional text. Here is going to be age, question mark, close parenthesis, or quotation. You can see I did not open a quotation. So I need an open quotation there. Now I need a comma, and I'm going to store the age. Now I'm not very inventive, so I'm just going to put A there for age. Alright, so we've got their name and we got their age. So now what we need to do is we need to figure out how many years until they turn 18. So that's a difference. So we're going to do 18 minus their age. This is why we needed to put that variable A there, so that we could use it later. Now, the other use for variable is to store information. So I'm going to use the stow button, and I'm going to store the difference, 18 minus A, in B. Alright, so now B is how many years until they turn 18. So I'm ready to output here. Program, I'm going to display, and I'm going to display a greeting, returns a greeting. So I'm going to display, now I'm going to use my keyboard, you can type it in, hello, and now if I'm going to put a space here so that there will be a space here, hello, and then I'm going to put string 1. So again, vars 7 string 1, hello string 1. Forgot to put an operator there. Hello plus string 1. It adds strings just like you would expect. That's why if we didn't put the space here, it would just say, "Hello, Tom." All right. Now I want a comma here to start a new line, and I'm going to start text again. You. This is very hard. You will be. I have to type super slow. You will be 18. Oops, I gotta go off of Alpha Lock here. 18. Now I'm going to put a comma here, and the reason I'm going to put a comma there is because I'm at a full line, and it won't wrap text. It's not very smart in that. You will be 18, and then I'm going to start a new line. I'm going to go back here, and then in quotations, comma. Now, remember where we stored how many years until they turn 18? It's in B. So I'm going to put alpha B, comma, years. Close quotations. There we go. All right. Now, we're going to quit, and we're going to run our program. So, program. We're going to execute our first program. And it says and then your hacker name here, press enter. These little dots up here means it's waiting for the user to press enter. Enter my name. My name is Tom. So I'm going to turn on alpha, TOM. Hit enter. My age. Now my age is 35. And it says, "Hello, Tom, you will be 18 in negative 17 years." So, obviously, I'm 17 years past 18, so 17 years ago I was 18. So, congratulations, you have just written your first program. Now, if you say, "Well, Tom, I don't really want this age 33 up here," my challenge to you is figure out where would you put a clear home so that after you got the information, it would just have the greeting here. Alright. Watch the next tutorial to learn something new. And thank you for watching this one.